Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, and the mic is just getting warmed up as the Guardian of the Blue Paint turned writer is about to enlighten us. The show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. For this week's show, the Hockey Writers Ink welcomes Pearlo Wisdom for a deep Flyers discussion. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Ink. Join Lance and Steel as we bring you all the latest on the Flyers.
Hi guys, welcome back to another edition of the Hockey Writers Ink. As always, I'm your host, Lance Green.
And as always, I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers. And hey, Lance, we got a special guest sitting in with us tonight, don't we?
I think we do.
Oh, man, oh, man, oh, man. This is going to be exciting. We got a very special guest sitting in with us tonight, folks. That's right. The great, the awesome, the Pearlo Wisdom. How are you doing, Pearlo?
Sweet, but haven't been with you guys for a while. I like to, we catch up about once every month and a half or something like that.
Yeah, you know.
We just let all the crap pile up in the Flyers organization and then.
Good choice of words.
then we get
That's a good
together.
way to put that.
I think it's like I need every month and a half. I need a place to vent. But
There you go.
I'm not really going to be venting so much this time.
Okay. Now,
It sounds good. We always say that too, but then it turns into a little bit of a vent section.
Something else takes the wheel.
Yeah.
Well, it's more of a therapy session, I would say.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's what it is. Yeah.
Right? It's more
Right.
therapy. Like you just get to unleash, and it's more therapy. You know what I mean?
Not too many of my other hockey friends have time for me to vent about the Philadelphia Flyers.
Well,
Every once in a while, I have to make an appointment with SteelFlyers, the best in the land, and get it all out. So.
you got it. And I'll tell you what, one of the main reasons why I wanted to have you on, Pearlo, is, well, for one, we haven't caught up in a little while, and you're always a friend of the show, and it's always great to get your take on the Flyers because you have a bit of a different perspective and a different take. But you released a video the other day about Carter Hart.
Yeah.
And the possibility of trading of Carter Hart and things of that nature. Mm-hmm. The other day, our illustrious editor-in-chief, Lance Green, posted a tweet out the other day in regards to talking about the same subject. Okay. So that's kind of what I want to get into in this show. But before we do that, let's get introductions and going on here and everything like that. So I'm SteelFlyers, your co-host, and Lance Green is our host, and our great guest is Pearlo Wisdom. And this is, wait for it, episode number 116. That's right, episode 116. The Hockey Writers Ink welcomes Pearlo Wisdom for a deep Flyers discussion, and or maybe therapy session, whatever you guys want to call it, you know. So here we go. This is what I want to get into here with this. For the show this week, the Hockey Writers Ink welcomes the great Pearlo Wisdom to the show. Pearlo, you put a video out the other day highlighting a theory you have about the future of the Flyers franchise. That and many other things I want to talk about on the show tonight. This is a very special time for the Flyers, in my opinion. They have a chance to do a super reset and rebuild from the top down, and this just might be the opportune time to do it. Okay? And this whole thing sparked based off of the tweet that you put out, Lance, and the video that you put out, Pearlo. Okay? So the first question I'm going to ask you is this. What was the inspiration, Pearlo, for you to put out the video that you did about Carter Hart?
Well,
give us your thought behind it. Give us your theories. Give us what's going on in your head here about what's going on here.
I mean, of course, I think about hockey all the time. The Philadelphia Flyers are one of my teams, and I'm just thinking of directions and stuff. And then Briere.
Briere.
Briere. I don't know. There's like the same.
They look alike. Yeah, they look alike. Play the same.
But anyways, Briere then came out and like unabashedly named out the rebuild and all that kind of stuff like that. And I'd already been thinking about what that might look like if they decide to do that, and which way how much they would go and all those.
Yeah.
And I just got thinking about Carter Hart also because being in Edmonton here, we have a lot of a lot of people talk about Carter, right? Like people love Carter here.
Yeah, because he's from there.
From Sherwood Park and stuff like that. And I got thinking about it. And then it started getting some media attention too. Some Canadian guys here started mentioning, like prominent mentioning Carter Hart is, and it started like sort of as a rumor. And being that I do what I do with videos and stuff, I go through a lot of rumors and I throw a lot of them away, right? But the more I got thinking about Carter and the Flyers and what some of the things that might want them, because I understand the other side of it where he's only 24 and he's not an elite goaltender yet, but he certainly has all the tools to be one. He could definitely head that road. I still love him. I always said he was going to be one of the best. Well, a great one, maybe, a guy that could win a Vezina someday, and I still think that. But I got to thinking that it's not even just about getting the assets for a player, although that is important and they need to do that. It's also, I think, just from a human perspective, best for Carter. Mm-hmm. I even think Carter would think that it might be best for Carter. I mean, he's been through a lot, that kid. To grow, to come up in that organization that, like we said, when you hear one of the, I'm very enamored with Tortorella, always have been. And I think he's one of the greatest of all time coaches. And he comes into your organization and within like a week or seems like days, he immediately comes out publicly and says, we have a room problem right off the get. Like that is not much time to build. It's that blatant that, so this has been something I think we've all talked about for quite some time, that there was something going on with that room and the people and whatever the case may be for a long time. And Carter has had to grow up to try to be an elite goaltender in this environment. And it's got to be tiring on the kid, man. It's just got to be tiring on the kid. And the fact of the matter is, I think most general managers out there would know that he's still got tremendous upside. He's still a tremendous talent. And they would be willing to give a really good package for him. And not only that, you got Samuel Ersson looking really good there. And it's not hard to get a veteran to help them out while they change the environment and all that good stuff. So that's just what got me thinking about it.
Okay. And you know what? I got to tell you, man, you're barking to the same set of trees here. Okay. You're basically, you're preaching to the choir here a little bit, because Lance and I have never said ever that we didn't think that Carter Hart wasn't a good goalie.
Right.
We both feel that he's been the best goaltender to hit Philadelphia since sliced freaking bread.
A long time,
yeah. Since Hexie or Pelly, yeah.
Okay, so the whole inspiration behind what you did, Lance, behind the tweet, okay? Now, you looked at another goaltender that played for almost the same amount of time for Philadelphia, okay, had the same sort of pedigree, okay, a little bit older, okay, when you compared him to Steve Mason, Carter Hart, okay? And what was the inspiration or the main reasons why you put that tweet out there like that?
Well, I think that prefacing that, there was a lot of talk, like Pearlo was saying, a lot of rumors kicking up, and a lot of people on Twitter, a lot of people on a different avenues of, social media now, were either on the same side as us right now, where we're saying he's a good goalie, but he's not elite. He is tradable. And then there's, he does have an issue with, just being grown up in this. And, I think his confidence is broke. I think his confidence is broke, and I think he would do best being on another team. So in that same aspect, a lot of people were saying, oh my gosh, he's the best thing since sliced bread, and
just like I just said.
Right. And I think that a lot of people here want something to believe in. They want this guy to be great, right? More so than he has shown in the past 5 years here.
Yeah.
Yes, he's still young, but he was the first goaltender taken that year. He was supposed to be a lot better than he is right now. And honestly, I don't think he's the best goaltender even in our division right now. Even, definitely not in the Metro. We got a lot of great young goaltenders, for the Rangers, the Islanders. They've got a couple of years on them. I think they're maybe 26, 27 years old, both of those guys in New York. And, those are the young up-and-coming goaltenders right above him, and they've already proven themselves at that age that he is now. And a lot of fans are saying that they just think that he is going to be the great one still. He is going to be the one to carry him on the back and all that. And I've been a goaltender for 30 years. I coach goaltending and everything like that, and I'm not seeing it in him. I don't think he's got the mental fortitude to be able to sustain this, what he's been going through the past 5 years here, and be able to come out on top. I really don't. He came out strong at the beginning of this season. He kind of took the summer off. He recouped. But now he seems to be in a greater funk than he was before.
Agreed.
I mean, you look at his last start, against the Penguins. He held him in the game. He was playing okay. Then late they got up, and then all of a sudden it's 5-1.
The floodgates.
The floodgates open, and it's 5-1. So going back to what you were saying, I brought up Steve Mason because there's so many goaltenders, good goaltenders, that came through the Philadelphia Flyers system in the years past. We went through so many years with trying to find that goaltender, right? And a similar goaltender that I brought up in mind was Steve Mason. Now, he was another goaltender who was started very young, was brought up by Columbus, was drafted pretty high. He was drafted, I think, in the 3rd round, but brought up. He had a lot of success early, like Carter Hart did. Maybe not to that extent that Mason did, where he won a Calder, but he was 24 years old when he came to Philadelphia, the same age that Carter is now. And he had a lot of success here in Philadelphia, but nobody really wanted to give him credit where credit was due. And, I put out a tweet of, he didn't have that great of people in front of him either. Chemo was here, yes, but he also had Braden Coburn, who I think was carried a lot by
Andrew McDonald. The fact that Andrew McDonald was part of that team for how many
Andrew
years?
McDonald, Grossman,
Delzato.
One of the worst contracts in there.
Yeah, Corleo. There's just plenty of horrible, defensemen that weren't so great over that time period that he was here too. But in 5 years' time, he also played 5 years here, and he held a lot better stats. He won 104 games during his time here compared to Carter's 79 so far. He won a win percentage of 0.45 wins percentage compared to Harder's 0.40. Mason's career high numbers as a Flyer in wins was 33 to Carter's career high in 24. Games started, Mason played in 60 games in 2013, 2014, and Carter Hart has never started more than 40. So to say that Carter Hart was even better than somebody like Mason or Ray Emery, or some of these other goaltenders that we had here in years past that a lot of people talk down about and everything like that, is is to me showing that he is not elite, guys. I don't think he is elite. I think he is promising. I do like him. But I don't know if he's going to be able to get it done here. So what to do with him? All right. And a lot of people were saying, how can you make comparisons that you were making? I think that's a pretty good comparison because, where he is, where Mason was at that time, they were both drafted really high. They were both had 5 years of service here now. Mason had a lot better numbers. I mean, Mason in the playoffs alone, that first year he was here full schedule, he had a 197 goals against average and a save percentage of 939 through 5 games played that first series. So he did his part here. And he also had a bad season after that, but he went through the same struggles and nobody wanted to give him his credit. Nobody gave, Emery his credit. Nobody gave certain goaltenders that came through here. Van Viesbroek had some good years here, but nobody wanted have the jersey on their backs and in the stores. There's nobody that gets these fans excited to come see these games anymore. And I think that they've done the same thing to Morgan Frost here as well. They want somebody to be that guy, and Carter Hart just hasn't been that guy. So what can you do? You can trade him now. Is he going to be here in that, since he's Briere said that nasty word of a rebuild, right?
That's not a nasty word.
Which I don't think is a nasty word, but a lot of people in Philadelphia do.
No.
I think that is a good thing because he's 24 years old now. In 3 or 4 years' time, he's going to be pushing, closer to 30. Is that really, how many more years of this are we going to put him through?
See, that's the thing.
Or where is he going to be at after those 3 or 4 years? Is he going to be that elite goaltender, or is he going to be that much more ruined?
Right.
I don't think he has the mental fortitude to carry that on and come out on top. So why not trade him? Why not get something for him while he's still, is worthy of getting something for, and kick this into full rebuild and go into and find another veteran goaltender like Pearlo said, and then see what Urson has to go through. So that's where that tweet and that thought process that spun out of control in the past couple of days, where people hit up hundreds and hundreds of likes, hundreds of comments all over it. So
let me just say this though, okay? So if you notice, what both of these two gentlemen have said is basically the same thing. That Carter Hart is a good goaltender, but it's not going to happen for him here in Philadelphia. And while he's still at that age where he's still young enough that you could get something for him, because his ceiling is obviously not been reached. Okay. And my whole thing about this whole Carter Hart situation is this. I surround myself with some of the most knowledgeable people in this game. And I surround myself with a goaltender who knows a lot about goaltending, and I surround myself with guys like Pearlo who know a lot about hockey and things of that nature, okay? And I've been watching hockey for well over 30 years now, okay? And I think I'm a pretty good judge of what I think an elite goaltender is and what I think an elite goaltender isn't. I've done a lot of research on finding out who is and who isn't, and that comes with a lot of 32 years of watching hockey. And when you see a player like Carter Hart who struggles mentally at things, Okay. I'm not worried about your mechanics. I'm not worried about any other stuff, but the fact that you're struggling mentally about things, that means that number one, he should have stayed a year down at the Phantoms. He was brought up too soon. So he was ruined that way. Number two, there was so much pressure put onto Carter Hart from day one and that pressure is still there because everybody looks at him as the next coming of whomever for goaltending in all of hockeydom in Flyerland. Okay. And he is just not. Okay. Is he a good goaltender? Yes. Could he be elite? Yes, just not in Philadelphia. Okay.
Well,
and I think that the only way it could happen in Philadelphia is if the rebuild happened in like a year or two. But I don't see that happening because when you look at all the other things that are in place, they're cap strapped. They have very little draft capital. Do you know what I mean? So they can't draft their way out of it, and they're not going to be able to spend their way out of it via free agencies or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And when you boil it all down and the UFAs and the RFAs, Flyers only got about $4.5 million in cap space. And you got gallons of holes, right? But you only got pint-sized fillers. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the other thing is the capital you can get in return for him is certainly something that is a great advantage. The little bit about the Mason thing though, there's one thing about Mason that makes it different than Hextall. Mason started with the Blue Jackets, and then when he moved to a different situation, he hit it. Right. And the Blue Jackets, they were just a garbage organization too. He didn't have good numbers there.
Okay, but
that's why I think that when Carter moves, he will likely hit his stride. And then all the Flyers fans are going to be pissed because he could have did this in Philadelphia.
No, he couldn't.
And I say that's not likely the case. And being a goaltender guy like Lance Green, I think he knows the mental aspect of being a goalie probably more than I do. But would you agree, Lance, that once you lost that, to get it back in the same place, it's very rare. I can't think of too many goaltenders that lost it mentally in an organization and then got it back in the same organization. Can you think of any? Like I can't think of any.
No, I mean they're either broken and fall to the wayside and go out of existence like DiPietro did and the Islanders was very promising goaltender and was thrown to the wolves very early. But it just bears the need for this, like you said with Mason. He picked it up. He was able to regroup with the Flyers and take it and go. So
he won a Calder with Blue Jackets. Okay, so he might not have had the greatest numbers and he might not have been playing with the best team, but to me, that is more of a sign of an elite goalie when you can win a Calder with a crappy team.
That was a rookie of the year. And then they wondered what happened to him after that.
Right.
The organization was garbage.
Right.
It had nothing to do with him. Just like it has nothing to do with Carter Hart. Philadelphia Flyers have the Philadelphia Flyers have all the blame for the struggles of Carter Hart and his growth in that organization. And I have no doubt in my mind that he will do what Mason did if he goes to another organization. Yeah. And he could be an elite goaltender, and it's a shame he had to go through what he's gone through. And that's really what my...
you have to think, too, because Hextall told us that he did not want to rush him, and he wanted to keep him down there for a year or two.
Remember when I said that Hextall was right when I said that? And I didn't think they should have let Hextall go and all that stuff like that? Yeah.
Do you see?
I
Do you see?
believed in
This
what
is why you surround yourself with people that know what they're talking about. See?
I believed in what Hextall was doing.
Yeah,
The
we did
only
too.
thing that was the mistake with Hextall was he went a little too crazy with the skill idea of the way the game is progressing. And as you can tell, and he's not the only one. A lot of general managers did it. They said we're progressing to a smaller league and all that. And we did to a certain degree, but the pendulum, it's not that much.
Yeah.
The size
Yeah.
is still extremely important. But
Yeah.
you're telling me a Hall of Fame goaltender doesn't know that a goaltender should stay down and you're not going to listen to that dude? Maybe he made some mistakes and didn't listen to other people. But when you got the goaltender telling you that, he should stay down.
Should have probably listened to that one.
And that's another issue right now that they're dealing with that's arising to the public now too. Hextall did not want to have to tell people what he was going to do and run through the paces of the Bob Clarks, the Paul Holmgrens, the you know, everybody else. He wanted to make a decision and do it himself and not have to explain it to everybody and get you know, their approval.
Yeah.
That really got him fired.
I think also what happened with Hextall is he so much wanted that I think in some ways he went against it just because of that.
Yeah, maybe.
Like he wasn't able to listen at all, which was where you can see the big struggle in that organization. In Pittsburgh, from what I understand he's listening to Berkey, he's listening to all those guys. I can question his decisions and stuff like that or whatever, but he doesn't have that personality there, which tells me what you guys told me, because you guys are closer than me, that there was people running the roost there that had no business being running the roost, and he just got fed up and said, "I'm making the decision."
Right. Which is why I said this at the very beginning of this show, which is why I wanted to cover this whole thing about the whole Carter Hart situation. Okay, yeah, it's a hot topic right now because I'm going to ask you, Lance, first. You're the general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers, and you have decided that Carter Hart is going to be a chip that you're going to use to help rebuild this organization. What are you looking for Carter Hart?
Well, I mean, I think you set out and put his name out there and, you know, see what you can get at the draft. You can always get more during the off season than you're going to get in, you know,
trade deadline, whatever.
At the trade deadline or whatever else. But I'm thinking he should at least get you a first, if not maybe two. But or a first and a possible proven prospect or two that are ready to go next year.
Okay.
That's my asking price. That's what I would set out to get. Mm-hmm. You know, would I settle for less? Possibly once I, scanned what's out there,
what the
who needs
are,
what, you know, and I think that's going to play out, you know, at the end of the year anyway, and who goes where and who gets, you know, dismissed and whatnot, and who's going to be looking. But you know, like we said before, I think Edmonton is a strong candidate. I think there's some other teams that could benefit from his services as well. Maybe maybe the Kings, maybe, you know, some other teams, but definitely not the Flyers. Definitely not the Flyers.
Okay.
So I got seven teams in my video. You guys can go check it out. I'll put it in the link in the description.
Okay.
One of the, since you mentioned LA, I would say like, you know, Korpisalo really, now that he's healthy, has looked really, really good.
Yes.
LA went and picked him up, but I mean, he hasn't really shown throughout his whole career that he can be an elite goaltender. But I get this inkling that maybe he's going to be one of those late bloomers that do some really good things there. But if they don't, if he goes back to his normal stuff and they think otherwise, I think LA would be a fantastic. And they've got lots of prospects like Jordan.
They have one of my personal favorite prospect pools, them and Anaheim. But you think about it, to preface that with you saying him, he is a 1A kind of guy too, where he works best with somebody else, like he did in Columbus. So does Carter Hart. Carter Hart hasn't proven that he can play 60 games a year either. So maybe a 1 and 1A there. And
keep Korpisalo and keep Carter
and
Hart. I think that would be a good combination. Yeah, I agree with
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I've thought about too would be maybe Carolina might be a spot, or I mean, depending on other things. Do you know what I mean? There's some other teams out there.
Made Deltovich look like he was going to be a Vezina.
Didn't they?
But what I'm trying to
just imagine what they would make Carter Hart look like. That might be the perfect spot for him. You know, for him for a Carter Hart as a goaltender to build his confidence and have a team that just basically devises their whole game around you, and gives you the best opportunity.
But that would do two things. One, you could get some good, capital, and you could get some good trade and whatever from Carolina, but it would also be a good move for him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, interdivision.
But he would be playing on a team that would have, defense in front of him, that would have offense in front of him. So that was the big thing with Mason, right? He didn't have much of a defense, but he had more offense. Where Carter Hart doesn't have, he's had some offense here and there, but he really hasn't had any defense. You know what I mean? So
doesn't have much offense either.
Well, I know I'm with you on that for sure. Okay, I agree with you on that. Especially,
I think the room back then in Philadelphia was a lot better than the room today.
100%.
They were a tight knit group. When you're talking about a shit show of a room.
I'm with you, man.
A guy comes in and immediately says, "This has got to go." Right. Yeah.
Okay, so now let's kind of just move on from the Carter Hart thing here for a minute, because we all know it's a hot topic. We all know that, and we all agree that we think he's a good goaltender that has all the tools, but is probably not going to be an elite goaltender in Philadelphia, and probably is going to need to have that. It's probably going to be one of those unfortunate things where he's going to have to move on in order to improve. Okay. And I'm with you. I would like to see at least a first round draft pick or some A prospects or multiple B prospects or lower end draft picks. So like maybe some second round draft picks and an A prospect. I would take that for Carter Hart. You know what I mean? Any combination of guys ready to play right now and some draft picks. That's what I would take. So, but I want to talk about some of the other things that need to be done here with this organization and building on this whole opportunity right now for a complete rebuild. So if we think that Carter Hart needs to be traded, that means that pretty much everybody else is on the block too, right? I mean, who would you guys keep? Who would you not keep, right? Let me throw this at you, Pearlo, right? It's the end of the season. Frost, TK, Hayes, Rasmus Ristolainen. I mean, these are just some of the names that could potentially be rolled into some deals. Frost is on an ending contract. TK is still around. Hayes is still around. Rasmus Ristolainen is still around. There's other players that could go. Sanheim. Pick somebody. You know what I mean? Like, who do you think would be some of the guys that you would want to keep? That might be a shorter list.
I would really, really, really want to keep TK, but at this, it really depends. Do you want to just shape this down to Chicago levels? You know what I mean? Like, are we going?
No, we want to start from the top down.
Are we going 7-year rebuild? Like, does this organization and this ownership going to back a 7-year rebuild with Tortorella and all that stuff like that? I find it hard to believe that that's going to happen. I think 4. TK might end up staying. It's not going to be 4. It's no 4. If you trade TK and you trade all of those guys, it's not going to be 4 years.
You're not going to trade all of them.
Yeah, you got to keep some of them. And it's hard to say. You're not going to get anything for Ristolainen. I think, Everson got to go. You can trade a couple, but it all depends on what they want to do. And I don't even know what I want to do. Do I want to shave it down to the bottom and start right from the bottom? And I don't know. I love TK actually. I think he's been fantastic. And my gut says Tortorella won't let him go.
Okay.
My gut says that Tortorella just has a warm spot for TK the way he's turned around and did his whatever he is. And that's what my gut says right now.
So you would keep TK and everybody else is fair game?
Well, Hayes, who's going to take it? Anything
whether or not anybody's going to take it. I just asked you who you would keep.
York. TK. York.
All right. There you go.
Off the
Lance?
top of my head.
Who would you keep?
York and TK off the top of my head.
Oh, there you go. All right, I like that.
Yeah. I'm saying I would keep Noah Cates. I would keep Farabee. I think he's had a down year. He's been injured. I think he's going to come back. I don't think he's going to be the player that everybody thought he would after leading the Flyers in goals that one year, but I think he could be a 20-goal scorer.
Yeah.
Yep. I like TK. I would try to keep that depending, but if somebody came calling with a huge offer, I mean, Wayne Gretzky got traded, right? So, anything goes. If you get the right deal, I could see, but I do like him. I would keep Scotty Lawton. I think he is the captain of this team. And I don't think you would get too much back for him anyway, even if you traded him. He's more of a roundabout guy. I would keep Owen Tippett.
Owen
that's
Tippett
on the offense.
Yes. Owen Tippett
is a scorer. He's really developing now. He's having a career year. As far as defense goes, yeah, like you said, Cam York is about it.
I would trade Crowley for the same reasons I trade Hart. Sorry, but just
No, because
I would trade Crowley for the same reason.
We agree with that too, Pearlo.
Yep,
yeah,
we talked about that before.
Is spunk, but
No, I'm with you. So some of the players that I would like to see stick around. Scotty Lawton would be one. I like what he brings to the table. I also, too, like Owen Tippett. I would like to see him stay. I'd like to see Joel stay. I'd like to see Erison get a shot. Okay. And I would also like to see Owen Tippett as well stay. I'd also like to see Cam York stay. But I would like to see these guys stay. But to be honest with you, if somebody came calling, honestly, there's nobody on this team that is somebody that I would honestly have to say, if somebody came calling, I would have to seriously consider listening to, because there is an opportunity to make this team better. And if the best player on the team is the only way that they're going to do good for this team is to be traded away from this team, I would much rather have that than have the player on the team. Does that make sense? I mean, yeah, but then now we're wasting that player because now we're going to be bad for so long. Now you have this good player that's going to be on a bad team. Do you know what I'm saying? That's kind of the toss up there. All I'm basically saying is that there is nobody on this team that I wouldn't give up to as a trade if somebody came calling.
I think this is the way I would look at it, and I think this is the way that I said when they hired Tortorella. If you're not going to have him have control of the players that he likes and not likes, then don't even hire him. Right?
Exactly.
If he wants the guy, he stays. Okay. But, and unless, Tortorella could say, you could go to him and say, look, they've offered us like a top 10 2024 first for TK that could end up being a top 5. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, something like that. But to me, if a coach likes a player, you're gonna have to give me a first for him. And if you don't think he's worth a first, then I'm not giving it to you. That's the way I would look at it. If a coach likes a player, if a coach doesn't like a player, then you're going down a different road. I don't know who Tortorella likes or doesn't like. Do you guys have a read on that?
So yeah, there's a read on guys that he does like. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I know who he likes, but not who he doesn't like.
Okay, so guys that he doesn't like, he puts in the doghouse, or he scratches, or he makes comments about. Yeah, guys that he doesn't like, or guys that he does like, you very rarely hear him talk about them.
Well, I think that you're saying Hayes. I think he's trying to push Hayes because he is the highest paid player on the Flyers roster right now that's dressed, right? So if you're going to be paid to be the best, then you better perform.
Show me.
And that's, a big thing. He's going to try to get the most out of you that he can. So I don't know.
I'm saying he doesn't like Hayes, not Hayes human, of course, but his effort as a $7 million player and his production as a $7 million player was supposed to be a top 6. And I would say, if you listen to what Tortorella says, he never gets mad at a player or angry at a player unless they don't believe in themselves. Yeah. So if Tortorella thinks that he can be way better than he is, and Hayes is not acting like he can be, then Tortorella will get upset. He said the same thing about Johansson when they traded him to Nashville. He said he's a great player. If he can ever believe that he is, he could become it.
I'm with you on that. Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I get from Hayes maybe sometimes, is he doesn't really truly believe that he can be as great as he can be.
Exactly. And I think that's another whole sore subject that we've talked about ad nauseum as well too, you know what I mean? So
cool. I imagine.
Yeah, because he's obviously not living up to his contract and everything like that. Okay, so I just wanted to get you guys' take on this. I really think that we have a good view here of what basically is going on. We all feel that there's a lot of things that need to happen with this team. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in one single off season, and it's going to be ugly for the next couple years in Philadelphia. Okay, and that's just how the reality is going to have to be. Okay, now it's what level of ugly are you willing to accept? You know what I mean? That's kind of where we're at here, and it's like, if at least we're going to accept ugly, then I want to see you trying. I want to see you making the deals and signing the players and getting the draft picks. And I'm really excited about the new CEO that's coming in here, this Dave Hillergedy or whatever his name is. I'm excited about this guy coming in here. I'm excited about Dave Scott stepping away more because of that. I really want to see this organization from the top down just gut itself and shave it just like Chicago, but they need to gut themselves from management to coaching to medical, the whole way across the board. Okay, now's the time to do it. The general manager's gone. You got a new CEO coming in here. We know the front office is going to change because there's a new CEO coming in, right? Now's the perfect opportunity to do it. You got a coach who's on board with the whole, hey, I'll evaluate the guys and let you know who's going to be on board.
Interesting you say that, okay? So a tweet just went out before we started this show, and I don't really know what it means, but actor David Brent, he was in Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He was in
Bones.
SEAL Team, Bones, all that.
Yeah,
that
he's
guy,
a big
right?
Flyers fan.
Big time Flyers fan. He had dinner. There's a picture of him. Mm-hmm. He just had dinner with Peter Forsberg, Kimmo Timonen, and billionaire Sixers / Devils owner, co-owner, David Aldman last night. And on that tweet, he said, "Coming for you, Philadelphia Flyers and NHL, with passion and love for the city of Philadelphia. The fans deserve better." That is some pretty powerful people that he had in that picture right there. So I don't know what that means, but if that means he's trying to get Comcast to sell the team out, like I said, that one particular guy in there, now they're, Chemo and Peter Forsberg have done pretty well for themselves, as did he as an actor, but that billionaire standing next to them has an NHL club already, has an NBA club already that he does own. So,
but wouldn't that be a?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
I don't think the New Jersey Devils guy would be doing it, but it's amazing. I just can't believe how much we're on the same wavelength here, because before you got started with that, what I was going to finish with, or what I thought, like, if you give me last words, I thought I was going to surprise everybody, but I said, I think if they're going to strip it down and trade TK and everything, which I think is possible, and the reason why I said it, they wouldn't, would because of Comcast. But I do think that if they really come down to the conclusion that that's what they're going to do, Comcast will sell.
Well, that's a great take.
That's what I was going to say, and then you came up with that. I mean, holy crap, dude. That's amazing. Yeah. I was going to say Comcast is not going to go through a 7-year rebuild. They're not going to take a chance on it at all. They don't want their name slagged into a bad team and all that kind of. And I actually understand it from a franchise perspective. What you attach yourself to is what people think of you. It's an advertising thing. Most of the reason why they have the Philadelphia Flyers is for advertising. If they're going to be dog poop for the next 7 years or 4 years or whatever, I totally understand them going, you know what, let's sell this division off to somebody.
Here's something else too, Pearlo. Here's something else for you too. A lot of the sports channels have been dropping out of Philadelphia that were either by Comcast or affiliated with Comcast or something like that, because they're dropping their NBC sports affiliation and they're getting out of sports.
Yeah, I know. I've heard about this. Yeah.
Right. So I think this is why look, we've been talking about this for 2 years, man. This is what needs to happen in Philadelphia. That's the only way that anything good is going to come to Philadelphia. You need to have ownership that cares like Ed Snyder, and Comcast just ain't it.
You got to have ownership that is that is doing it for other things other than the advertising dollar. You want to see an owner that's doing that? The owner of the Arizona Coyotes. Anybody who says they want to see the Coyotes move, you don't get that. That owner is going through hell and high water. I mean, he's a billionaire, so nobody feels sorry for him. But for a guy who's a billionaire, he is doing everything for that organization. His name is getting slagged through the mud, and he is not selling that team. He has a plan. He has a dream. He wants to build it, and he's going to do it. I think. I really, truly believe this. That is what. If you could find somebody like that to run Philadelphia now.
Well, that's part of that ownership. I mean, that picture that I was saying. Now, maybe the guy that owns the Sixers and the Devils isn't going to jump on board because he's already there. But I'm sure he has some billionaire friends that he can sit down with, and that group
or advise
came to him. That group came to him for advice, and can get that group who again care about the organization and who were big time, either a fan in, the actor that was into that, or former team members, with this franchise. I can see that, man, there's some big time, movers and shakers in there, and who knows?
Gonna be interesting for sure. For sure. Well, folks, I'll tell you what. I think we got a great show here. So, Pearlo, why don't you tell the folks where we can get you, where we can find you, and where we can get all your great stuff, my man?
You can get me at Pearlo's NHL POW on the Twitter there. come on there. I pass out a whole bunch of information out there. Not information, just fun stuff, comments, all that kind of stuff like that. I usually get people a little riled up. I don't know why. I don't know what's in me. I have to.
I know.
Why can't I just be nice? I don't know.
It's all good, man. It's all good. We like it.
Anyways, I always gotta get
the
edge. I always gotta get the edge. Anyways, you can find me at bpalpix.com. I'm a professional handicapper. We have just so much fun there and make a little money while you're doing it, but mostly about the fun. I love it. So you can go check that out. We do very well. And of course, the Pearlo Wisdom Show. You can catch me on my YouTube channel, Pearlo Wisdom. The Pearlo Wisdom Show on YouTube, which I'm sure the link will be in the bio here. I do mostly trade video stuff on there, but I also do a random, when I feel like at a clock show in the middle of the day about who's going to win and sometimes betting stuff and all that kind of stuff like that. I'm just doing things as I enjoy it now. So yeah, you can catch me on all those things. And of course, probably here again in a month and a half as we hopefully not venting away.
Yeah, right.
Actually sit here and say, it's all going the right way now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? You can also check Pearlo out as part of the great SteelFlyers All Sports Network at steelflyers.com/link/Pearlo Wisdom, where you can catch all of Pearlo's great stuff. Lance, why don't you tell the folks where we can find you, where we can get you?
Sure. You can catch all my articles on steelflyers.com, and you can also catch both this show and Prospect Watch that myself and Steel do on YouTube and every other audio platform that we turn it into. So on Twitter, Lance.Green39.
For sure, for sure. Thank you all very much for checking us out. We had the great Pearlo Wisdom as our guest this week. Thank you very much, Pearlo, for hopping on.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's so much fun, like usual.
You got it, man, for sure. I'm your co-host, Steel Flyers. You can catch me on Twitter at SteelFlyers52. You can also catch me and all the great folks at the SteelFlyers All Sports Network at SteelFlyers.com, from Pearlo Wisdom to the great Hockey Writers Ink to Prospect Watch, Peyton on the Radio, and the SteelFlyers podcast. Thank you all for watching the Hockey Writers Ink. We'll catch you all on the next episode.